Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Athletics Can't Wait Jets podcast, your nonstop shop for all things Jets. Now here are your hosts, Tim McMaster and Connor Hughes. Listen safely.
Can't wait.
Week 14, it's the Jamal Adams revenge game, although the Jets are 0-12. So the luster is kind of lost a little bit on that one. We will still talk about Jamal Adams. We'll talk about Denzel Mims, who won't be playing in that game. Of course, the Jets have a new defensive coordinator as well. Tim McMaster here along with Connor Hughes and Marissa Morris. Please subscribe to the show if you haven't on YouTube, also on Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, and give us a 5-star rating as well on Apple. We're going to get to all of that stuff, but we had really a dark realization on the show today that almost split up the cast of this podcast. For a moment, this podcast was in danger of not going on. We wouldn't be on right now because, Connor, you and I both learned in a disturbing moment that Marissa Morris has never seen any Game of Thrones.
Seriously, that ruined my day. It honestly, it ruined my day until I would say about like 5:30 p.m. And then right around that time ish, like later on this day, right in this evening ish, that's when my day got remarkably better. And that's when my day got just everything kind of seemed to come around. You know, I got a little extra pep in my step. I started to feel happy again, excited again, really like just, man, today's a fucking good day. Today's a good day. But before that, yeah, today was a very bad day. And it was, how do you go throughout the craze that was the last 5 years and not see Game of Thrones? Did you not have HBO? Do you have HBO?
I do. I've seen
you have HBO.
Big
so
Little Lies. That's on HBO, right?
So you have Game of Thrones at your fingertips throughout the craziness that what Game of Thrones was. You have it at your fingertips, and you just was there like a reason? Do you just not like six amazing seasons and then 2 dumpster fires? Like, what was the what happened here?
I don't know. I just never got into it.
2 dumpster fires, huh?
You can't never get into it if you never get. Did you ever give it a shot? Like, it wasn't one of those things where like you tried it once.
It's kind of like seafood. No, yeah, I've never really given it. I don't need it. I don't never watched it.
So I assume now, is it a genre thing, like fantasy type shows?
No, because like,
do you like Harry Potter?
I love vampire or the Twilight series.
So you've seen all the Twilights, but you can't give Game of Thrones a shot.
Of course, I've seen.
So you need a little more soap opera in your fantasy shows.
Yes.
How about like Harry Potter? Did you read those? Watch
I was
those?
never like into them as a kid, but I've seen a few.
All right.
This is pathetic.
I watched Star Wars for the first time, like probably like when I was in college.
Oh, you don't need to watch that. I'm not a Star Wars person.
Okay,
I've
so
never
like
seen Star Wars.
Wait, you haven't seen Star Wars?
You've never seen it,
All right,
so you're knocking me.
I've seen the one where he becomes Darth Vader. I saw that one all the way through. We watched it on the way to Hershey Park in 8th grade. I've seen that one.
Well, what about the real ones though, not the prequels?
I've seen all the lightsaber fights. I YouTubed and my friend showed me all that.
Someone in the chat said, Marissa, I'm with you. I've never seen it.
Connor, this is worse than Game of Thrones.
O'Neill 217323.
Yeah, I've heard that. But let's still make this focus on ripping Marissa, because I just want to say, like, Game of Thrones was the first show I would say, like, because we started watching it in college, and then when I graduated college was like when the height of it was in. And it was the one show that every Sunday when it came on, there was no like DVR it, I'll catch it tomorrow. There was no, I'll watch it the next day. It was me and my 4 college roommates were glued to our couch at 8:55 waiting for that to come on at 9.
Connor, you were on time for something? Hold on.
With Game of Thrones? Yes. With Game of Thrones, yes. I would watch the final 5 minutes of the episode before. No. Well, back then, you saw that picture that guy DM me. Back then, there was no gym. There was no gym back during Connor's college days. So, Connor was 50 pounds heavier than he is now.
I think you need to provide some context to this, Connor.
Oh, so yes. Well, we'll get to that in a second.
We'll tweet it out.
Yeah, actually, I do want to tweet it out. It's pretty great. I got to ask the guy's permission to tweet it out because it's his little friggin' brother in it. But the no ice cream involved though. Don't worry about that. No. So like we would sit there 5 minutes before, we'd watch the end of the episode before, and we go right into the next one. And it was there every single season. I would note, all joking aside, Marissa, like if you're, it's not a show that you can watch passively. Like you have to actively watch it. Like you have to literally, because especially for the first 6 seasons, there are like sentences of dialogue dropped in like season 1 and 2 that come back up in 5 and 6 and play. You're like, oh my God, he said that back then and it paved the way. Like, it's just the writing, which obviously is just ripped all from George R.R. Martin's books, the acting, the character development from seasons 1 through season 6 is just like nothing I've seen on television before. And it is the one show that absolutely consumed my life. And to see how Game of Thrones went from what it was to those final 2 seasons, because those dinguses that were running the show knew they had Star Wars. There's your Star Wars. Knew they had the rights to Star Wars. They're going to direct the next Star Wars. So they were like, all right, let's hurry up and get Game of Thrones over with so we can focus on Star Wars.
They also ran out of George R. Martin books, though.
That too.
It fell on them to actually come
hold
up
on.
with a storyline.
We just got the best. Well, and by we, I mean Connor, because I'm logged into Connor's Twitter. Would Connor consider High School Musical as a sports trilogy? I say absolutely yes. High School Musical series was the best.
I feel like we just went on a wild tangent.
I'm just trying to get my Game of Thrones rant. Marissa's trying to deflect all the blame from, I'm sure
I've seen all the High School Musicals. Okay.
I'm sure. Breaking Bad. Somebody else said Breaking Bad's great too, but Game of Thrones is still better for me, man. And it's like, you're right. They did run out of source material, but they ran out of source material after season 4 and they were still able to put 5 and 6 together fine. It was when they rushed season 7 and 8 to get done with it so they could go finish up Star Wars that everything went to shit. And it was like, honestly, like at one point, I remember the 2 producers, I forget what is it, D&B or something,
who have now
like that,
lost the Star Wars movie.
Yeah, who lost it because of how much they brutally just murdered Game of Thrones. The Star Wars people, they were like, no, sorry, bud, you don't get that anymore. They ripped it away from them. But it was like, at one point they were describing like Daenerys, who was like playing chess, not checkers. She's thinking 7 steps ahead. She's the anti-Adam Gase. She's like, oh, she just kind of forgot.
Good. Daenerys, the anti-Adam Gase.
Yeah, he's like, at one point they're describing how she gets I forget the guy's name, the dude who was in who ended up marrying Cersei and then Jaime kills him and he's like in charge of all the boats. Like he has all the boats. He's the Greyjoy. He was like the one who carried them or whatever it was. When he like has his she was like, oh yeah, Daenerys just kind of forgot about his fleet. And it was like, that's how her one dragon dies. Like, she would forget about shit the first 6 seasons. Now suddenly season 7 and 8, she's forgetting stuff. Like, it's just, they just wanted to get it over with and they ruined it. And like to this day, when people bring up Game of Thrones, like this is now going to send me into a tailspin for like the next 4 days. I get so depressed. I get Jamal Adams depressed thinking about how Game of Thrones ended, for what that meant to me in my life for like all throughout college. And then the 2 years after college. And then when Brie and I moved in together here, like what that show meant to me, it was my everything. And for how it ended is just like, what? Well, it's upsetting. But Marissa, seriously, give it a watch. Why it's amazing. I'm
gonna do a Twitter poll. What's worse, Connor never seeing Star Wars or Marissa never seeing Game of Thrones?
Probably gonna be Star Wars. It's gonna be Star Wars. I think so. And then somebody mentioned about the, like Marissa brought up the kid picture. So I like occasionally I do check my direct messages on Twitter, and a lot of times it's like really cool messages from like kids in college. They're like, oh, I kind of want to do what you do. How do I do it? Advice, stuff like that. There's one I saw, and I don't know why I opened it, but it was like, oh my God, look what I found. And it showed like attached a picture. And I was like, what the hell is this? So I kind of like, I casually looked in it, and it was this guy. And he goes, Connor, he goes, I'm a huge Jets fan. And he goes, I've been following you forever, yada, yada. He goes, I don't know if you remember this, but you interviewed my brother when he was playing district baseball. And sure enough, there's like, freshman year in college, Connor Hughes, like 50 pounds heavier, like in cargo shorts down below my knees, these awesome blue and
that was my first
basketball
reaction.
shoes.
Are you wearing shorts or pants?
Yeah. And it's me interviewing his kid. Cause like when I was my very first job, like my first paid job in journalism was I was a stringer for the Burlington County Times, which for people that don't know what that is, it's literally like 50, it's probably I get like 50 bucks to like cover a high school game.
We'll chop the kid out of it.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at that. Oh, it's brutal. It's rough, man. I'm telling you. Oh,
everyone take a screenshot.
That's before I told you that is before.
What do you think? Vote. Do you think these are shorts or pants?
You can tweet that. You can steal that and tweet that. But that is like, that's it, man. I thought I looked good. And that was before I discovered the gym and Bree's fashion sense took over. That was before all that happened. So it was a little rough. But
I
seeing
think it's
that, my
pretty
DM's
cool
just catching.
seeing.
Kid's like, yeah, I'm from Lenape District. He goes, I grew up in like the Lenape District, like the local area from where I'm from. He goes, yeah. He goes, you interviewed my brother. We took a picture of it. So, like I would cover high school sports, like $50 a game. But in the summer, there were no high school sports. So they would send me to cover like the district 8 and under, 12 and under baseball games. And back then, Morristown, I think it was, had a nasty team that ended up going like on the cusp of the Little League World Series. It was kind of cool. And I saw that. Give you a look. It's crazy. Like if the picture was taken 2 years before, I would have had the mop hair, like where I had like the really long hair.
Well, I do think it's really cute seeing like, you know, everyone's had those early moments in this career. And I think that's really awesome that someone that stood out to somebody. So we'll make this like meaningful and like a nice moment, but the chat also thinks they're capris.
Fair. That's fair. I'll give it to you. Shorts and pants.
All right. Should we talk about the Jets?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
All
can.
right, let's
Yeah,
talk
we can talk
about
about Jets.
We're going to get to your questions as well. Connor advertised this episode as at least a partial mailbag. So we have a bunch of questions to get to later on in the show. But let's get through some news and notes first. One, of course, Denzel Mims not going to play here, which brings up a few things. It's a family business that he's dealing with. Adam Gase said, you know, we support him and going and having to deal with this personal stuff. So he's not going to be there. Hopefully he can take care of things and everything is all well with Denzel Mims. The problem for Jets fans, Connor, is now what is the point of watching this game now that Denzel Mims isn't even going to play, right? I mean, it's one less thing to kind of look forward to on Sunday.
Yeah. It's tough because you are right though. I mean, there's very little that the Jets have going right. There's very little that you can hang your hat on in terms of like, I want to see this, I want to see that. You know, for the last 2 years, that was Sam Darnold. You know, it was that, okay, as bad as things are, as dismal as things are, you believe that Sam Darnold is this team's franchise quarterback. You believe that Sam is the guy that can turn it. So you watch Sunday, even though you know the Jets are going to lose, even though you know they stink, you watch them to see Sam Darnold. And now you know Sam Darnold's not the guy. You know this team's going to have another franchise or another quarterback they believe is a franchise quarterback under center next year. So what are you watching for? You know, you're not really going to watch for Mekhi Becton because as dominant as he can be, he's still an offensive lineman. He's not really going to sell tickets or in this case, like turn on the page views. But Mims was that guy. You know, you were tuning in every week to see what Mims looked like. What would he do? What acrobatic catch could he make? Would he be able to go over the defender and make it? Was he going to score his first touchdown? How was he going to progress in his route running? Where, you know, before we were seeing dominant halves, but not dominant games, or dominant spurts, but not a long stretch. So now you wanted to see, okay, can you do it in the first half? Have the coverages adjusted slightly to more shift towards him, and then come back and do it in the second half. You wanted to see all of these things. And that's kind of what kept Jet fans tuning in, because he was one of those players that you could say, like, I want to watch him. And unfortunately, you're not going to get a chance to see him go against Seattle. You know, you're not going to get a chance to see him try to burn Jamal Adams like everyone else in the NFL has done this year. You're not going to get a chance to see him go up against Griffin, you know, the pretty good corner that Seattle's got outside, you know, and it's a shame because every snap and every down that Denzel Mims plays, he gets a little bit better. He gets a little bit improved. He sees a coverage so that the next time he's out there, he can figure it out and adjust and then do something a little bit different. And, you know, the one thing I do want to stress is that this isn't necessarily like a family issue that's going to keep him out forever. This is not a family issue that's going to sideline him multiple weeks. The issue is just the NFL's enhanced and strict COVID-19 protocols. So right. Mims was going to be out yesterday and he was going to be out today. Like those are going to be the 2 days that he was going to be out. However, you need to get tested at the team's facility every single day, and you need to have tests from those facilities every single day, and 2 negatives come back every day. It's like, or like -1 day, negative Tuesday, and then you're allowed to come in on day 3, and then you have to keep getting tested. Because he left to go be with his family for the family emergency, he has not been able to get tested again. Because he's had to stay out a second day, the Jets have not been able to get him back to the facility, to test him back at the facility, to send him back. Like, it's just the logistics of it are not working. So what the Jets have done, and it's a kind of a hat tip to them, because it is, they've said, go be with your family, take care of your family. We're going to be here when you get back. And if it means you miss a game, family comes first. Family comes first here, not football. And if this was any other year, like if this was last year, next year, hopefully the year after that, like Mims is still going to play on Sunday. He's just not going to be at practice. He'll be there at Sunday for the game. But because of the COVID testing, he's just not able to be there. And unfortunately, it comes at a pretty big blow for the Jets, because the Seahawks were readying to face this guy. I mean, he was somebody that Seattle had, I know this for a fact, he was somebody that Seattle had starred as, we can't let this guy beat us. We need to know where this guy is at all points in time, because this guy can make a difference, because Mims is a special player. He's not just good. What you're seeing, the getting better, I mean, he's going to be special. The Jets are convinced he's going to be a special player. So that I had the whole, he's going to be a really good number 2. He's a guy who, he can be a pretty good player. He's always going to be Robin and Batman. That's not, I can tell you from talking to people within the Jets building and also people around the NFL who have now studied this guy's film. He's not somebody that they think is a number 2. He's not somebody that they think is going to be a good Robin. They believe this guy actually has Batman potential, that this guy has the ability to be really, really good. And there's something different about him. And unfortunately for Jet fans, you're not going to get a chance to see him on the field on Sunday. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate too, because when you look at Seattle and that defense, it hasn't been very good, right? I mean, Seattle's a good team, no doubt. They could end up in the Super Bowl. They're 8-4. They've had their ups and downs. Obviously, they lost to the Giants last week, but the defense has been far from a strength, despite, of course, the addition of Jamal Adams. So let's get to that. It's, I guess, you call it the Jamal Adams revenge game, but Bradley McDougall's going against his old team, George Font going against his old team as well. So there's a lot of crossover between these two teams. But let's talk about Jamal a little bit, because I think if this season has maybe showed us something, it's the reason the Jets were okay letting this guy go. He's been incredible at times, a highlight reel at times with Seattle, like we saw in New York. But overall, that defense isn't really better with him. They're 31st in the league in yards allowed, 22nd in points allowed. Connor, Jamal's had he's been hurt a little bit, but when he's played, he's had some big moments. He's had some big highlights. But I don't think he's made that team better.
No, and I mean, well, you can look at the stats for Seattle. I mean, I think they're second to last in the NFL in terms of I think they're second to last in the NFL in terms of yards per game, and I think they rank 22nd in points allowed per game. I'm not mistaken. I was trying to bring up the story because there's a story.
It's all right. I literally just said it when I was tossing it to you, so I know you're multitasking. It's all good.
I am actually what I was literally trying to do is I'll fill you guys all in on this. So I don't know how much you and Marissa know about this part of it, but they took away, when we first started The Athletic, a story could be published, then as writers, we could go back in and edit it again. Now, once we give it to the editors, we can't touch it anymore. So I filed a story and it's running tomorrow on Jamal Adams. As soon as you start talking about Jamal Adams, I was like, oh, that's right. I got to bring up that story because I have a bunch of nuggets and news in there and stuff like that. So I go into the back end of WordPress, which is our platform we use, and I can't get the story. I can't preview it because I can't view it because it's not running until tomorrow. I can't preview it because they've always scheduled it, and I can't edit it because I can't get in. So I'm like, all my news and nuggets that I have on Jamal Adams are all stuck there. So I'm sorry. I heard your beginning of we're gonna talk about Jamal Adams. I was trying to go in here to get my Jamal Adams nuggets, and they're gone. But I do have them up now. Now I was able to go into WordPress. But like you said, man, I think what the Jets foresaw in Jamal, and this is, we'll get into what he's done on the field in terms of he did say, I heard this about that him not really making Seattle better is the reason why he's no longer with the Jets, because the Jets did want to bring him back. This wasn't BS. This wasn't the Jets didn't want him. This wasn't the Jets were lying when Joe Douglas said he was going to make Jamal a Jet for life. They genuinely did want to bring this guy back. They genuinely did wanted to give him extension. They had started to allocate funds to give Jamal his big money extension. When Seattle came at them and made them the offer that they did, it was an offer that they could not refuse. And they had to give it right back. They had to make that trade. They had to move Jamal Adams out of here because you were not going to get a quarterback like Ransom. You can't pass up a quarterback like Ransom for a safety. And I think you are seeing why. I mean, like you said, Jamal, when he's near the line of scrimmage, and when he's blitzing, he is an absolute matchup nightmare. He is. He is an absolute demon coming off the edge because he's too physical and strong for running backs and tight ends to deal with. He just is. There's no running back in the NFL, I believe, that is going to be able to consistently block Jamal Adams. Can a running back maybe get the best of him on one or two plays? Absolutely. You get better leverage, all that stuff. But no running back you man up with on every single play is going to stop Jamal Adams. Jamal's eventually going to get his sack, which is why you've seen in these 8-9 games that he's played this year, he's had a sack in every single game but 2. He didn't have one against Dallas. He didn't have one against Arizona. There's the only 2 games he didn't have a sack. He's also a threat because obviously when he comes around the edge, he's too fast and quick for offensive linemen. So it all works as a pass rusher. What you're seeing, though, is that Jamal Adams is not Troy Polamalu. Jamal Adams is not Brian Dawkins, because while Polamalu could come off the edge and was a threat and a beast off the edge, and while Brian Dawkins made those bone-crushing hits and was also a dominant guy when he's getting to the quarterback, those kind of things, those 2 players could also cover. And those 2 players could also either play zone coverage, maybe not always man, but could play zone coverage and get back deep and weren't a liability back deep. Jamal Adams is a liability back deep. Jamal Adams is a player that cannot cover at all. Quarterbacks have targeted Jamal. Here are the numbers. Quarterbacks have targeted Jamal this year 32 times, which isn't that many targets. It's not that many targets because of how often the guy blitzes. So he's been thrown at 32 times. Quarterbacks have completed 26 of those passes. That's 81.3%. They've completed them for 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 127.0. Jamal Adams is, like we said, unbelievable pass rusher, right? He's got a Pro Football Focus grade of 84.7 as a pass rusher. His coverage grade is 50.2. His total defense grade is a 63.6. When you combine his pass rush grade and his coverage grade to get his defense grade, Jamal has had a Pro Football Focus grade in all the games that he's played. All of those games, he's had a Pro Football Focus grade above a 60 3 times this season, and one of those was a 68.5. Like, that's not great. His numbers across, like I said, 63.6 is his defensive grade, 84.7 pass rush grade, really good. Coverage grade, 50.2. His defense grade, 63.6, is the lowest of his career, and his coverage grade, 50.2, is the lowest of his career. So he's a limited player in what he can do. Yeah, he's a playmaker. Yeah, he makes plays when he's on the field. Yeah, he can rush the quarterback. Yeah, he makes the bone-crushing hits, all that stuff. But the guy can't cover. He can't. And I think preemptively what the Jets did do well is by trading him to the Seahawks, it basically nipped in the bud the ugly negotiation that was going to come. Because I think what people forget and what people don't realize is that this back and forth between the Jets and Jamal Adams, this fighting between the Jets and Jamal Adams, all this crap with them, at no point did it actually come when they were talking numbers, right, Tim? Like, that's the crazy thing, is they started fighting and arguing when they weren't even at the negotiating table. It was about when Jamal Adams was going to get paid. Then you started hearing the stories that Jamal was expecting $20 million a year because he's a quote unquote defensive playmaker. Like, the Jets were willing to make him the highest paid safety. They were never going to give him $20 million a year. That's ridiculous.
And he didn't care that we were in a pandemic either, seemingly. Yeah. That was another thing, is like the state of the world in 2020, and Jamal just kind of kept going with, I got to get paid. I got to get paid. Yeah. So.
And the one criticism that I know fans did have, and I got it, like I understand it, is that fans were not happy that Joe Douglas didn't trade Adams during the draft, right? Was that he waited until July, because their thought process was, you trade Jamal during the draft, you get him out of here during the draft, you get that extra first round pick. Maybe you don't get as much from the Seahawks, but you get an extra first round pick, and suddenly maybe that's the Cowboys who are interested in Jamal at the deadline. You'll be able to have Mekhi Becton at left tackle, CD Lamb at receiver, and heck, you could have Denzel Mims too at number 2, and you have extra picks as well in the 2021 draft. I can tell you, like, Joe Douglas never cut the cord of his phone line. Like, the same phone that he was willing to answer during the NFL's deadline, he was willing to answer it during the draft. Did he make calls? No. Were there some calls fielded on Jamal? Yes. From the Seahawks, from the Ravens, from the Cowboys, all of the teams that called about Jamal, none of them made them a legitimate offer. No one made a legit offer that Joe Douglas would actually consider. There was no first round pick on the table during the NFL draft. So the Jets didn't not trade Jamal during the draft because they were like, oh, maybe we can still extend him. They never had this offer. If this offer that the Seahawks made came in during the draft last year, Jamal Adams would have been traded during the draft. I know that for a fact. I've talked to people about it. He would have been traded during the draft. the offer never came in for a multitude of reasons. Teams didn't know what the 2021 salary cap was going to look like. Teams didn't know if there was going to be a 2020 NFL season. So it didn't make sense to give up all these picks to go and get Jamal Adams at the time. So that's the one criticism, but it really can't be a criticism because the trade deal just wasn't there. Jets were able to ship him off. And honestly, look, the Seahawks got a defensive playmaker that they wanted. They wanted a Cam Chancellor like that guy, somebody that could make a difference on defense. They get it. For the Jets, they got rid of a headache. They got a ton of picks. They're going to help expedite their rebuild. They got rid of a guy that clearly didn't want to be here. And they also got rid of a player that's very one-dimensional and was going to want $20 million a year, $20 million that Joe Douglas was never going to give him in the first place. So honestly, it was Adam Gase said it today when we talked to him on a conference call. He said, I think all sides got what they wanted in this. I agree with him. I think this is a rare situation where it was a win-win for everyone.
All right, we are going to get to our mailbag questions, but first, a message from Draftkings. Draftkings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is wishing you the happiest of holidays. And to kick off the season of giving, Draftkings has new promotions and odd boosts every day this week. Lucky for us sports fans, there is an abundance of action taking place this week. Football teams are in the hunt to secure their place in the playoffs, while college basketball season is just getting underway. And there's no better place to get in on all the action. If you haven't tried DraftKings Sportsbook yet, head over to the App Store now because you don't want to miss this. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new players the chance to earn a sign-up bonus up to $1,000 when signing up using the promo code QUICK. DraftKings Sportsbook has endless ways for you to bet, from live betting to betting on your favorite players. They do it all. To celebrate this weekend's UFC 256, DraftKings is giving all MMA fans who sign up now the chance to triple their winnings when placing any bet on UFC 256. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code QUICK when you sign up to get up to $1,000. That's code QUICK to get a deposit bonus up to $1,000 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, New Jersey only. Bonus comprised of first deposit bonus. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It can be awkward or embarrassing to talk about erectile dysfunction. Usually people brush it off or blame ourselves, but Roman is here to get you the advice you want and the help you need with no shame. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship you real medicine with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is also simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/wait and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to talk about, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Just go to GetRoman.com/wait to get $15 off your first order of ED treatment, a free online visit, and free 2-day shipping. That's GetRoman.com/wait for $15 off your first order of ED treatment. GetRoman.com/wait. All right, time to get to the mailbag. Connor, you have the next ad read, by the way, coming up in a little bit.
I thought it was time.
No,
I thought it was time, and I was like, "Oh man, hey, have a good one." I'm doing an ad read. I'm doing an ad read this week, guys.
I promise you guys, if you stay tuned the whole time, it will be absolutely worth it.
Somebody said, I was reading the comment section there. Someone said I'm yelling. Am I like popping? Is the mic too close? I got a whole new setup here. We were talking about that too. Like I got the whole Marissa and Tim are the victim of this because I had the whole. I went to go update my 10-year-old Mac computer and found out that like it's 10 years old, so it can't run the latest Mac. So I was like, all right, what's to do here? So that led to a whole upgrade of the Connor work desk situation. So we got the Mac Mini coming in on Tuesday. I've got one monitor, but another one's coming, but I'm like in between the setup. So I've got like a computer here that's no longer hardline. So I don't know if my Wi-Fi sucks. And like I'm closer to the mic than I usually am because the mic's usually over there. So I don't know if I'm too close and popping. Like, are my P's popping and all that stuff? Have you guys heard anything?
Seemed fine to me. I think it's just your general rant.
No, that's fair. I didn't even. That's right. I was screaming about Marissa's
Game of Thrones. Not the Jets. Not the Jets.
It's absolutely pathetic. Oh my god, so upset. I'm like, that's just like Michael will want to watch it. Like you guys, like just go home and just.
He's seen it.
Well, how the hell does that work? You like is it so he's watched it but you haven't?
Yeah. I watch other shows.
Well, what would you do when it was
we
on?
have to watch every show together.
You would that one, yes. Yes. Yeah, that one. Yeah, absolutely. But what would you do when it was on? You just not go over that day?
I don't even know. Like, I don't know. I watch other things or I'm working. I don't know.
That ain't that.
I've literally never. Okay. I take one day off.
Marissa, you should have seen it. Like, I just assumed. I was like, well, we're gonna do a quick podcast for the Greg Williams firing. We're obviously gonna do it live, like we always do, and just going to like start it up, and then Tim going like, all right, yeah, so we're just recording this one, right? I was like, why? I was like, I already tweeted about it, and he's like, I don't know how to set up the live broadcast. I was like, I don't know how to set up the live broadcast. Oh, it was a whole. Oh man. And then my favorite is the FaceTiming Marissa as she's in the car driving.
Yeah. So actually, like right just now, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have showed everybody that picture of Connor. I don't know if he like would have been comfortable, with me showing that. I probably should have asked you first. But then I remembered that you posted a picture up my nose on FaceTime the other day. So I figured it was totally fine.
Oh yeah, I did do that. Yeah.
Connor's the guy that takes screenshots when you're like, this in the camera and
saving the day.
Yeah, so I figured if I showed your capris, it was okay.
The capris. All right, so let's get to the mailbag. I feel like my only job on the show this week is just bringing us back, just pulling us back to the
going
Jets.
off the rails.
All right, let's start with the defense. Basically, the question comes in, Connor, and it's, are we going to see something different this week? And I know Frank Bush spoke today as the new Jets defensive coordinator, interim defensive coordinator. Is there going to be anything different this week on the field?
Yeah, real quick. I'm reading the comment section. Someone told me to turn my gain down because apparently I am popping, and I don't know how to do that. I just went to the audio settings, and this is like, maybe if the Athletic sent me my new mic for our profitable podcast, that would be really nice. But
Connor, look at that bougie mic you have. Let's just go answer the question.
It is cool. I'm moving around.
Oh my God.
Moving around like I'm Craig Carton. He's actually been pretty good in that return spot. I'm not going to lie.
God.
I'm a big fan of that Evans and Roberts shot. Yeah, so I think you're going to have a defense that was actually fun because we finally talked to him. We finally talked to Frank Bush today, and that was kind of like cool to get to like discuss him. I don't think you're going to see as exotic and sometimes overly aggressive defensive plays with him. With Greg Williams, his defense a lot of times was, I know more than what you know. I know football better than what you know football or how you know football. And I'm going to show you by outsmarting you. And a lot of times by him trying to outsmart the defense, it was like, no, you don't know more than the other guy. That's why you don't run cover zero all out blitz with 12 seconds left. Like, duh. But I think what you're going to see with Bush is that it's going to be dialed back some. I don't think it's going to be as aggressive. I think it's going to be more rudimentary. I think it's going to be more, not necessarily like insane man coverage with blitzes. I think you're just going to have like a more traditional 34-43 defense that goes out there and tries to win a game. Like, I think that's what you're going to see. Now, where I would be fairly nervous with this if I was the Jets is that with Greg Williams, sometimes what you were getting with him was that he was going to kind of like, his craziness was sometimes unexpected and it could catch the opposing offense off guard. Sometimes that did happen. He was specifically good against quarterbacks that he had never faced before, like that had never faced him before, because he could give them looks and you didn't know what you were going to get with a Greg Williams defense until you actually experience a Greg Williams defense. So there was always that opportunity for like a big half or a big quarter or a big game. With Greg gone, I don't think you're going to get that from Frank Bush. I think you're going to, honestly, I think what you're probably going to see is the Jets defense play more to their talent level, which is not very good. And I think there's a chance that you might see a very bad defense. I think, I'll be honest, I don't know what the spread is. I would take the Seahawks. Like, I think this is going to be a really ugly game. I think the Jets, it doesn't matter if Frank Bush is there, whatever defense he runs. I think Seattle's going to score a boatload of points. I think the Jets aren't going to keep this one even sort of close because they're still hungover from the game on Sunday, and it's going to be an ugly one. But I think what you'll honestly see is a lot less blitzing, a lot less exotic looks, a more traditional defense, a team that's trying to maybe like bend but don't break kind of thing. And we'll see if it works. I don't think it will, but we'll see.
Okay, this question is from Tom on Twitter. With the way that Ty Johnson, Terp, and Josh Adams ran on Sunday, will the Jets finally put Gore on the shelf and let the young guys get some run?
I wish I could say yes. I wish I could sit here and be like, yeah, you saw what we've been complaining about on Twitter, or we've been complaining about on this podcast is like, let like the young guys play. Yet Ty Johnson get out there because the Jets, like all Frank Gore should do is pass pro and short yardage situations. His decisiveness is good for 1 to 2 yards, and he's a very smart, level-headed player where he can be the pass blocking situation. In no world should he be getting 25 to 30 touches. In no world should he be getting 20 touches, 15 touches, 10 touches. It'd be 5 touches at the most, and then pass pro situations. Because the Jets don't need 1 to 2 yards. They don't need that. They need speed on the field. They need the chance to break something. They need athleticism. Like that's what they need. And you get that with Ty Johnson. To an extent, you get that with Josh Adams. I wish I could say that like Sunday proved what we've been saying right, because it did. It did prove us all right. It did prove exactly what we've been preaching and screaming from the top of the mountains for the last 2 months. With that said, I don't think it's going to change anything. I really do not believe that it's going to change anything. And the reason that I say that is we talked to Adam Gase today, and we said like, oh, Frank Gore is out of the concussion protocol. You think you'll get like, Ty Johnson still more carries. How's that work? And he goes, I wish I could give you the answer of how to perfectly do it. In the perfect world, we get this guy his touches and that guy his touches and this and that and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And as he's talking, I'm sitting there thinking, I was like, Ty Johnson just averaged 4.8 yards a carry, scored a touchdown, became the first 100-yard rusher under Gase and God knows how long, probably since J.J. And he's about to head to the bench for like 5 touches and another 25 carries from Gore. I mean, I don't get like Adam Gase loves Frank Gore. And I've talked to Adam about it and he'll be like, oh, Frank is really good in the first half. And then when we come back in the second half, he's a little heavy legged. So we like to get the young guys
37.
Going. Yeah. Duh. So like we'll get 2 series of Frank in the first half and then we'll go series by series, series on, series off, series on, series off. That's what was the plan with P. Ryan. And you get to the game and
could you try again?
Then you get to the game and that doesn't happen. And so like, I've honestly like, I've given up hope. Like I said, what you saw with the exception of Frank Gore actually not playing and not being able to do goal line, short yardage and pass pro, that should have been like the game plan that we've seen for the last 2 months, what we saw on Sunday. Instead, you get what we actually like. Instead, you get what we're going to see, which is more Frank Gore than what should be. And occasionally you see the running back come in and I'm sure Ty Johnson will break something and be like, well, why isn't he getting more touches? And then we go back to not seeing him again.
Yeah, Gase makes it sound like the perfect scenario is tough to find where he found it a week ago. Like we all witnessed it. It was great. They ran the ball all over the field, 2-headed machine, neither of those guys being Frank Gore. I mean, just watch the film back, man. Just watch the film back. All right. I'll take the next one, Marissa. Better Call Randy. Really good questions this week. This one about the draft, about the Adams trade. Looking back at the Adams trade, Jamal wanted the Cowboys. It would have been impossible for Joe Douglas to know that Dallas was going to be doing what they're doing this season. But that said, would you rather have the 2 ones in the mid-20s and a third that they got from Seattle, or the top 6 pick that they could have gotten from the Cowboys now that the star has imploded in Dallas?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I never even thought about that if they had done the deal last year. I mean, I think it was, look, the Jets were stuck on what they wanted. Like the Jets had said, we want 1 and a 1 and 2 twos was their original asking price, a year ago at the trade deadline where they wanted a 1 and 2 twos. And they didn't, when they said we want a 1 and 2 twos, it wasn't with them under the thought process of like, we want to trade Jamal Adams. Like that's what always gets lost in translation here is the Jets never wanted to trade Jamal. They viewed Jamal as a building block piece. They viewed him as a very strong voice in the locker room. They viewed him as a very good player. Like they loved Jamal Adams. They didn't want to trade him. So if they were to move him at the deadline last year, the all-pro player, they didn't want to do that unless somebody blew them away with a deal. And just a first-round pick was not going to do that for them. They wanted a 1st and 2 twos because they didn't want to trade him. That's what kind of gets lost is like, as this situation devolved to where it did and where Jamal was eventually traded to the Seahawks, it changed to the point where the Jets were like, all right, maybe we do actually need you to just get rid of this headache, but still they were blown away with a quarterback like Ransom. So you can say that. And the answer is yes. I mean, they would be much better off with the Cowboys 1st round pick this year. I mean, you're talking about, like they said, they're looking at a potential another top 5 pick. The Jets could have the number 1 pick and number 5 pick in the draft plus probably a 3rd rounder last year. So it's like, yeah, that would have been significantly better. But at the same time, the Jets were in a very different position during the trade deadline last year. Again, they did not want to move Jamal. So that's why nothing really ever came to play. If they had sat there and they were like, all right, we're definitely not paying this guy. This guy's going to be a headache. Let's move him. Let's get rid of him. It's time. Let's get rid of Jamal Adams. It's going to be done. I want him out of here. That's when suddenly you don't take this hardline stance of we need to be blown away. You take the best offer that's available, and then you accept the best offer of what you've got, and you move on from them. That's not where the Jets were last year. And during the draft this year, when they could have potentially gotten the Cowboys' first-round pick and taken CeeDee Lamb, the Jets never got an offer. The Cowboys never offered their first-round pick. The Seahawks never offered their first-round pick in this year's draft because it was the fact that nobody knew, like I said earlier, like no one knew if there was going to be a 2020 NFL season. No one knew what the 2021 NFL salary cap was going to look like if there was no 2020 NFL season. So that's where everything kind of got hung up. And honestly, could there have been better situations out there? Absolutely. But the Jets still came away with 2 1s and a 3 for a guy that they were clearly never going to give us $20 million to. So they got rid of a headache. They got all these picks, and this rebuild's going to be expedited because of it.
Okay, this question is from El Jefe on Twitter. Thoughts on Bill Cowher and the curious origins of his rumored return? Leverage for a better CBS contract? And then wife who won't stop complaining about how bad Gase is, both. Is that a bad idea for the Jets?
I would stay away from that, and I would never even go close to it if I was the Jets. I don't know the validity to it. Obviously, Boomer talks to him more than anyone. They're on the show together on CBS, so he would know, and what he says carries weight. He's not just putting that out there to put it out there. I mean, if he's saying it, there's something to it. Whether or not the Jets are actually interested in it is a completely other story. And if I was the Jets, that would be something that I would stay away from. I mean, Cowher's been out of the NFL for a very long time. I mean, he was
it would be like a Dick Vermeil situation to me,
yeah,
right? When he came back with the Rams.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even compare it to Gruden. Like, I wouldn't even compare it to, I would compare it to like that one. I would compare it to, what was the other one? When Shanahan came back and coached Washington again. Like, it would be something like, it's like you're digging into the old bag of tricks. Like, you're digging into a guy that's been out of the NFL for so long. I don't think he's been like Gruden. Like, Gruden approached every broadcast for Monday Night Football like he was preparing. Like, he would study all the film, he was nuts with it, where he was basically still a coach. He was just broadcasting instead of coaching. Like, they showed his setup in his hotel room once for the broadcast, and he had 17 monitors set up with all the X's and O's, all this stuff. Like, that's why the Raiders felt confident giving him the job again. Now, I probably still wouldn't give him 10 years, $100 million, but that's neither here nor there. Cowher's one where I just wouldn't touch it. And it feels like it would be a desperate move. You know, it'd be one trying to hire like the sexy name again. And that's not what the Jets need. You know, that's what I keep coming back to is like the Jets shouldn't try to go find Cliff Kingsbury. The Jets shouldn't try to go find Sean McVay. The Jets shouldn't try to go do the John Gruden thing again, where they go and they bring some guy out of retirement. What they need to do is they need to follow the Giants model. They need to follow the Steelers model with Mike Tomlin. When the Steelers interviewed Mike Tomlin, they did not go into that interview with any realistic expectation of hiring Mike Tomlin. They went into that one and they said to themselves, we're going to give this guy a to impress us. Tomlin blew them away, and they were basically like, holy cow, we need to hire this guy. The Giants went and they interviewed Joe Judge because they heard some good things. They did not go in there saying, we want Joe Judge. They were talking about Josh McDaniels. They were talking about Matt Rule, all this stuff. They're not going with Joe Judge saying, I want Joe Judge. I want Joe Judge. They went in there with Joe Judge, and they were blown away. And what they saw the Giants and what the Steelers saw in Tomlin is they saw a head coach. You know, they didn't see offensive minded. They didn't see defensive minded. Tomlin was a DB's coach, and Judge was a special teams coordinator. They didn't see that. They saw this is a guy who knows football. This is a guy who knows how to build a culture. This is a guy who knows how to lead men, and he's going to be the right guy to fill him around with staff. He'll get his offensive coordinator. He'll get his defensive coordinator, and we'll be a team. That's what the Jets need to go out and find. They need to go find a offense. They need to find a head coach that's going to be a head coach. No more Rex Ryan, where he's the defensive guy, and then he's like, all right, someone else go run my offense. Same thing happened with Todd, and then the reverse happened with Adam Gase, where he was offensive. No, go find somebody that's going to manage the entire team. He's going to be checking in to offensive meetings. He's going to be checking in on defensive meetings. He's going to be with the quarterbacks. He's going to be checking in on this, but he's also not going to micromanage, where he's going to let the guys he hires do their jobs as well. That's who the Jets need to go find. I don't necessarily know who that player is, but I don't think it's Bill Cowher, because I think Cowher is just another guy who's going to be a retread of what everything else has been, where it's just going to be like, all right, here's somebody who's done it before with the Steelers. Let's just bring him in here, you know, and give him a shot and see what he can't do. I don't buy that. I don't believe it. I don't think it's the right thing. The Jets need to The one positive I will say is that for the first time, the Jets aren't going to be going throughout a coaching search with a search firm, with Woody Johnson, with anything like that. Like Christopher Johnson's going to be calling the shots, but Christopher is basically giving all of the control to Joe Douglas. And it's going to be Joe Douglas who picks this team's head coach. It's going to be Joe Douglas who makes the final say. And that's where I would feel confident, because I think Joe Judge is going to be an excellent judge of character. Joe Douglas is going to be Joe Douglas is going to be an excellent judge of character. Joe Douglas is going to be an excellent finder of, I want culture and I want a head coach. That's what he's going in here looking for. And I think he's going to be able to find it.
All right, we have a couple more, but we're going to take a break before that. Connor, if you're ready, this is one moment where, if you subscribe to The Athletic, thank you for subscribing to The Athletic, but you can listen to the podcast on the Athletic app and there's no commercial reads in it. It's just straight through. It's one of the benefits of being a subscriber. If you listen on Apple, Spotify, if you're listening there, you get these ads. But this is one opportunity where I think you're better off on Apple and Spotify, because Connor, take it away.
Drum roll, please.
All right. I need to make sure my gain is low, as the follower was saying. I got to move closer to my screen to be able to read, but keep the mic away. Looking for the ultimate stocking stuffers for this holiday season? Look no further, because our sponsors, Manscaped, have the tools to make you win this year's stocking stuffer competition. Manscaped is the only brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and hygiene products. And great news, they just released their products across Europe, Canada, and Australia. Here are a few of their products that are prime stocking stuffers for this season. All right. We've got the Crop Reviver Ball Toner, a spray-on toner that will give your balls a little slice of heaven with their aloe vera and hazel extracts. There's the Crop Cleanser Body Wash, a full body wash,
You're doing so
a full
well.
body wash that you can use on your hair. There's also the Crop Mop Ball. Jeez, my God. There are the Crop Mop Ball Wipes. You know when an opportunity strikes, so you never know when an opportunity strikes, so you should always be prepared. Oh boy. There is the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer, which provides proprietary skin-safe technology to get rid of those nasty nose hairs. There's the Lawnmower 3.0 Trimmer, which offers a replaceable ceramic blade with advanced skin-safe technology, which helps reduce grooming accidents. These formulas are all vegan, cruelty-free, dye-free, sulfate-free, and paraben-free.
Sure.
I've never heard of that word before. So their products are legit. You can get 20% off and free shipping. Just go to manscaped.com/theathletic. Whether this is for your partner, dad, brother, friend, get them something they will actually use, and it's almost sure they'll get a laugh. Sorry, there's
Wait,
more here.
there's more.
I forgot the call to action.
Call to action.
Get 20%
There's
off.
also
Plus,
important
I thought we
part
already
of the
did that.
read.
Yeah, well, it's literally like right up. I didn't realize you have to say it twice, but get 20% off plus free shipping. Just go to manscaped.com/theathletic. Be the ballsiest gift giver this year with Manscaped.
All right. Well
Great
done.
job. That was very good, Connor.
All right. Back to, we'll give you a minute to get yourself all set. And back to the mailbag. Next question's from Alan Golan. It's another head coach type question. The Marvin Lewis rumors can't be serious. Sure, he turned around the Bengals, but the ceiling is a first-round loss in the playoffs 7 times. That shouldn't be our goal in this search, and that's exactly the message it would send. Do you guys consider him a serious candidate?
No, I wouldn't go there. I mean, I think there'll be the connections that are, I think there are the connections there that they're going to draw between Joe and Lewis, because they were both overlapped in Baltimore, which you'll see. And I think Marvin's going to want to get back in the NFL, want to get another coaching. No, that's another one I wouldn't talk. I mean, the thing, if you're talking about like Cowher, like he's had a Super Bowl on his finger. He's been to multiple Super Bowls. He's been a Super Bowl winning coach. His big thing was like, he couldn't get over the hump. He couldn't get into the Super Bowl, couldn't get past Tom Brady. And then also he couldn't win one once he was there, but he did finally get that monkey off his back with Jerome Bettis. So like you finally saw it where he's a Super Bowl winner. Lewis, I mean, his Bengal teams were always like really good for a while before the end, like until the end, they got really bad, but like they never won anything. Like they never won a playoff game. They would get into the playoffs, but they always lost. And like the one year they probably should have won was when Carson Palmer's knee exploded against the Steelers. But like he would be one I would not go anywhere near. And I would be very surprised if he's the coach the Jets end up picking up. I mean, I think actually, who was it? Caldwell? Was he the former Lions coach? Caldwell. He coached the Colts, and then he went to the Lions. I think Jim Caldwell, I believe, was his name. He was one I would actually consider before I would go to Marvin Lewis, Jim Caldwell, just because I think he's a guy that I think he got a little bit of a raw deal in Detroit. I think he did better with a lot less talent because that team really wasn't able to ever sign guys because he wants to go play in Detroit kind of thing. I would pick him over Marvin Lewis any day of the week, although I wouldn't honestly pick either of those guys if I had my choice. But I think there's no, that I wouldn't worry. I don't think the Jets are going to go there. If they do, they deserve all the criticism they get.
Okay, last one. This one's from Gideon. Should the Jets draft a center early to grow with Lawrence and recapture that brick Magnolia?
Magnolia.
I was thinking of the Netflix show Mangold Tandem.
It depends on what they mean by early. Like if you're talking about with that second first round pick that the Seahawks got, no. I mean, the Jets can make do with Connor McGovern for the next 2 years, and the Jets can find another center in free agency that, you know, good centers tend to shake free. They could always look to trade for one, but no, I wouldn't go looking there with that second first round pick from the Seahawks. I probably wouldn't even look to go there with the second round pick. I would think in the third, with an extra third round pick, I would think the third round's a good spot because you can find a guy that usually when you find a guard or a center who has like that potential to play both, or just, you know, starts a guard then eventually moves inside, or starts a center moves. That's like Weston Richburg, where I was with the Giants and the 49ers. I think that's probably more of the spot to go. If there's the right center in the second round who can also play guard, I think second round's a good spot. I think third round's a good spot. With that second first round pick, if that's what they mean by early, no. The Jets need another receiver. The Jets need another corner. The Jets need outside linebacker, pass rusher. I mean, I think it's going to be a pretty heavy defense draft.
All right, we do have to do our picks before we say goodbye, and we really have to do our picks because you should pay attention. We were 9-0 last week, first time in 2 years of doing these picks that we all run the table. So good job for all of us. The standings are actually looking pretty good. I think we're all in the money at this point. The picks have been going well. Connor got bounced back
Connor
after a couple of bets. He's in third.
Okay, good.
He's in third.
I'll tell you what, you know, what's funny is like when we placed those bets, this is the first time this year where I placed bets or we did our picks and I didn't actually bet the money on them. Like I didn't put my actual money on them because I was like, and right before, I think I bet the Thursday game too. I think it was like right before I was like, all right, you know, I got to put the money on it. And I got sidetracked. The game started and I missed it. And then I covered the first game that I bet. And I was like, should I bet the next two? I was like, no. I was like, I won the first one, so I'm probably going to go 1-1 in these next ones. I'll just save it and count it as profit. Sure enough, this is when I sweep. And I always, whenever I make 3 picks, I bet them and then I parlay them to save for like this 1 or 2 times where I go 3-0. And of course I didn't get it, this is just brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Do you have your picks or do you want to go last?
No, when I saw I went 3-0, I'm keeping with this trend of picking them in the moment. So you guys can go first. I'm going to write my ones down here.
All right, fair enough. I'll go first. Bucks -6.5 at home against the Vikings. I think that's a no-brainer under a touchdown. If it was 7.5, I'd have doubts, but 6.5 go with the Bucks. Houston -1 at the Bears. I mean, the Bears are as bad as Houston was early in the season. The Bears are finishing that way. I think Houston -1, even though it's on the road, I'll take that. And then finally, one of the big games of the weekend, Steelers and Bills in the AFC. Steelers on the road, but I'm going to take them with the points. +1.5 at Buffalo. I'll take the Steelers to bounce back after that brutal loss. They got to come out firing and bounce back against Buffalo. Go ahead, Marissa.
I also think Texans -1 versus the Bears. So I think Jalen Hurts is going to provide a spark for the Eagles, but I don't think enough versus the Saints. So I'm going Saints -6.5. And then, man, the Washington football team looked pretty good versus the Steelers. So I'm going to take that one +3.5 versus the 49ers. And that game is, I think, in Arizona. The 49ers are still playing out in Arizona. So
yes. So not that it matters without fans.
Right.
I almost took that Saints game. I was almost with you because I just think like at the end of the day, Hurts is a rookie. And it's just,
I mean, I do think like the Eagles are going to look better than they have, but I mean, I
wouldn't take much.
You said you saw that 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5.
They're trending your way. It's up to 7 now on DraftKings.
Oh, there you go.
So they're trending.
Well, I got it at 6.5. So
yeah. So you're fine. I mean, it just means they're trending your way. People are on the Marissa band. They saw Marissa go 3-0, so I heard big money come in on the Saints. They're like, time to switch the spread. Marissa's on to them. Moneymaker Marissa.
Influencer.
All right, so I'm up.
Yep, you're up.
Social media influencer Marissa. Yeah, so the first one that I like a lot is Kansas City -7.5 against Miami. I know Miami like plays tough and Flores is a good coach. Miami, their bounce back from a team that was tanking and absolutely abysmal last year to the team that they are today, hello Jets, is quite a bit surprising. But I don't think Tua is ready for a Steve Spagnuolo defense. I don't think that Miami Dolphins defense is ready for what the Kansas City speed is. So I don't usually like when it gets over a touchdown at 7.5, but for this one, I'm gonna take Kansas City -7.5 against Miami. I like that one a lot. The other one I'm on, which is the same bandwagon you guys are, is Houston given a point -1 against Chicago. That Bears team is just a disaster. I mean, Mitch Trubisky is terrible. Matt Nagy's obviously coaching the final few games. I can't imagine he's back next year. I can't get a read against him. I mean, I finally thought it was like, oh man, Trubisky's rocking and rolling against, yeah, God damn it.
He almost made it.
Ding.
Yeah, almost. I was like, literally the
54
last segment. Trubisky obviously going against and all of a sudden the Lions come all the way back and the Lions have their own problems. So that line's actually a little scary. The fact it's only a point, but I'll take Houston -1 against Chicago. And then the other one that I take is a huge spread. It's a massive spread, but I do like the Seahawks 13.5. I mean, I think there's a chance that this is like a 20, 28, 3-4 touchdown game. Like the Jets were so emotionally distraught after that Sunday game. That feeling carried through on Monday where we talked to Adam Gase after he fired Greg Williams and he sounded like somebody at a funeral. Like, I mean, it was as down and out as I can imagine. And without Denzel Mims, I find it hard to see the Jets moving the ball against the Seahawks. With Jamal Adams back, he's going to be playing out of his mind to make the Jets regret trading him. I think it wouldn't surprise me if he scores a defensive touchdown. And then the big thing too is like with Greg Williams gone, while Greg had his issues and Greg was way too aggressive and Greg definitely cost the Jets the game, he still always had his defense playing hard. And he was always going to give you some wrinkle week in and week out that would confuse the quarterback. I just don't think you're going to get that with Frank Bush. So while it was the right decision to move on from Greg Williams, it's probably not the best week to have it happen because I think the Seahawks with Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Chris Carson, I don't see how they slow him down. And the fact that the Seahawks are coming off a game where they just lost to the Giants, a heartbreaker. Lamar Jackson's going to be trying to cover DK Metcalf. I mean, it's just everything is set up for this to be an absolute beatdown. And the line's 13.5. That is so juicy. But every time I think about the game, I think 20+ point victory for the Seahawks. So make those my 3 points. I go Kansas City -7.5. I'll go Houston -1 and then Seahawks -13.5.
And that would bring the Jets to lucky number 13 in the tank for Trevor situation. All right, that's going to do it for us for this episode. There is still time to cash in on the holiday deal here at The Athletic. Go to theathletic.com/the Can't Wait podcast. The deal right now is if you gift a subscription, you get a subscription for free. So basically it's a 2-for-1 situation. Buy one for somebody else for the holidays, get one for yourself free. Still plenty of time to get that. Theathletic.com/the Can't Wait podcast. That's going to do it for us. Enjoy the Jamal Adams Bowl on Sunday. We'll talk to you again on Monday.